Alright, I had to take a quick break. Oh my god, there's so many cards to go through. But now we have Inferno Dragon, legendary card. I think it's solid, but nothing crazy. The only deck there's a couple decks that's good in. The Lava Hound deck, like Lava Loon or some kind of like Lava Miner deck. It's pretty good because it gets behind all that other junk, and if it gets locked on your tower, it's over. If it's locked on your tower with any amount of health, it's over. But I feel like it's so easy to distract, and it takes way longer to burn down enemies than an Inferno Tower, so I'm gonna go C tier with that one. Alright, Musketeer. Musketeer is a great card. Man, we're gonna go A tier with Musketeer. It's not quite S tier because it can be taken out by Fireball, Poison, Mini P.E.K.K.A. shreds it. I feel like there's a lot of cards that can take it out pretty quickly, but it's great against Baby Dragon, Hunter. It's great at staying a decent distance away and just melting enemies if you don't deal with it. It's been in the game for so long. It's in a lot of different decks. Now let's go Executioner. This guy I would have put in S tier maybe last month because for like a 2-3 month window, he did redonkulous damage. I mean, he would like take out mini P.E.K.K.As and stuff because he would take him out in like 2 throws of his hammer. He didn't throw as far, so now sometimes he does catch the tower a little bit more often, but his damage is not nearly what it was in that 2 months, so I'm going to give it an A. It's just so good, especially combined with Tornado at getting rid of a large amount of troops. Tornado, doesn't matter if they're low health, medium health, high health, you tornado them all together and away from the Executioner, and it gets its money in. And it's got a lot of health too. Zap. Zap is going to go ahead and be S tier. Oops, didn't. Also, guys, these are in no order, by the way. Like S tier says minor, then arrows, then they're not in order like that or anything. I'm just kind of dropping them into their categories. Zap is so versatile. It can reset Inferno Towers, Inferno Dragons, Sparkies, stuff like that. It's also good at getting rid of 1 Elixir Skeletons, Skeleton Army, Spear Gobs. It does a decent job of getting rid of a Goblin Barrel. What else? It's just an overall around good card. Now, guards. These are kind of interesting. They're like B or C range. I'm gonna have to put them in C tier. I don't see them used a lot. It's kind of weird. I just think there's better options for your deck than guards at 3 Elixir. Like, yes, they're okay. They can't be taken out by Fireball. Zap's not going to take them out, stuff like that. Arrows will now, so I feel like arrows made guards, like, way worse. Guards were probably B tier before arrows got buffed, but now they're C tier. Fire Spirits take them out, stuff like that. I think it's because there's better options, and they don't do a whole lot of damage. Hog Riders, I think, still get off a couple swings on the tower against them. Okay, Elite Barbs. Some of you guys might disagree with me here, but Elite Barbs are our second card to qualify for S tier. If any of you guys watching have been playing Clash for an extended amount of time, you'll remember a time a couple years ago where Barbs were definitely S tier, and they were first. They were by far... Barbs at one point in the game were the best card in Clash Royale ever, period. No questions asked. Every deck ran them. I know so many friends that quit Clash Royale in like 2017, 2018 because of how overpowered they were. I don't know what Supercell was thinking. Usually when they buff or nerf a card, it's like, oh, here's plus 4% damage, or here's minus 5% health. I think the update with these guys was like plus 17% damage, faster movement speed, more health. I was like looking at the update and I was like, these guys are going to be OP, and you know what? They were. They would, I mean, it didn't matter. You could throw down a mini P.E.K.K.A. and they would take that thing out and then take your entire tower. I think you could almost like 3-crown somebody if they didn't put anything down with just one card. But now, unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, they've been nerfed enough times to where I almost never see them used anymore. They're just so easily taken out. Like, I can just throw down Skeleton Army, or like a mini P.E.K.K.A. just about takes them both out. Fire Spirits crush them. Executioner, stuff like that. Elite Barbs just aren't nearly as good. I would like to see them maybe get like a slight hit speed buff, like couple percent hit faster. Not so that they're like this, but maybe so that they make it into C tier or something like that. Prince. He's a good card. We'll go B tier. If he gets a charge on your tower, it is so much damage. He'll take out cards so fast if you don't have the right card to deal with his charged speed. But if you have 1 elixir skeletons, like he's a goner. Skeleton army, he's a goner. Spear gobs, I would say he's a goner, but they don't do any damage. But guards will crush him. But he is really good at taking out troops fast, as well as getting a lot of tower damage fast. Heal spell, oh my god, another card in the S tier. Look at this. It was, back when this was made, it was 3 elixir. It's 1 elixir now, and it is still just as bad as it was before. Especially now with the healer in the game, the healer is such a better card than the heal spell. There is no situation where this thing is useful. I mean, almost no situation that I can think of where this thing is useful. Overall, it barely gives troops any health. It only gives them health if they're standing in that one area. And oh my god, you could put it down and something get logged, like while it's healing them, and then it's useless. I would much rather have a different 1 or 2 elixir card that is going to be so much more useful than this. It's also one of those cards where I don't know like what they could do to like buff it. It just kind of would be better off if that card wasn't in the game. Alright, now log. This is S tier. Looks like there's a lot of S tier. I expected there to be not very many S tier because there's not a whole lot of S tier cards, but there are, according to me, apparently there's a lot of S tier. Although this is where I expected most of them to be. But log is so good. It is so versatile. You need log to take out goblin barrels, skeleton armies. When you see a pesky princess, you almost have to log it unless they have a bait deck. You better find something else so that you have the log for the goblin barrel. But log is just so good at taking out those sorts of decks. It's also good at stopping charges from princes, battle rams, hog riders, stuff like that. Super versatile card. It's in my deck. Alright, now bomb tower. It's D tier. It was probably S tier before the buff. I think the buff, it drops a bomb now, so if it's still in that range, like it'll blow up. The problem is, you're usually pulling them to the middle, and by the time the bomb explodes, they've left. Whatever card was taking out the bomb tower has GTFO'd to the tower now, and that bomb usually blows up absolutely nothing. So they need to make it maybe just like when it gets destroyed, just straight up explode. Then it would be here, no timer on that bomb. That would be great. It also just doesn't do very much damage. It is beefy. The bomb tower has a lot of health, so it's a little better than it was. It could still use a little bit of a buff. It's D tier. Inferno Tower is in my deck, therefore it is A tier. I know I said I would put it in S tier, but there's some times where it can get countered, and unfortunately, like, I can't put it S tier because against some decks it's completely useless. If they have a bait deck and all they have is, you know, miner, goblin gang, princess, gob barrel, skarmy, rocket, it does nothing. But where it excels is against giant decks. Crushes giants. It crushes golems. It's good against a Hog Rider or a Ram Rider. Good against the big P.E.K.K.A. Good against Lava Hound. And those are a lot of decks. Bait decks, that's one thing. I have other counters in my deck for those sorts of things. But against any tanking sort of deck, which is a lot of them, it crushes. And sometimes even if they zap, that's why it's good to have like 2 zappable cards. I have Skeleton Army and Inferno Tower, so if they zap Inferno Tower, I use my Skarmy and they're screwed. If they zap my Skarmy, I use Inferno Tower and they're screwed. So it's just such a good card at melting those big tanks. Ice Spirit, another A tier, and it's in my deck. Ice Spirit is super versatile. It's really good. It stops the charge of anything for 1 elixir, which is, sometimes you just need it. It's a good cycle card. Sometimes you need it in a pinch to stop that. If they have like just minions coming into the tower, It'll stop them, and the tower can take out minions before they do any damage. It stops fire spirits. What else? I mean, it just stops so much. It's super versatile. Tombstone. Tombstone is gonna have to go in C tier. It's not very good at defense because it can be. It might be the least health building. Whenever they put one down, I just wait like 3 seconds and then log it, and then it's gone, and the skeletons it spawns are gone. It's not too great against Hog Rider. Yes, it distracts it towards the middle. But the problem is it'll take it out, and then it only spawns 3 skeletons, and the Hog Rider still gets tower damage. You almost have to like put it down and like kind of let it go like passively, like a furnace. It's really good in Lava Hound decks because it keeps spawning skeletons, and then you have to deal with all the pups, and if they have a balloon, and then you also have to deal with like pesky skeletons coming in. So like it's solid, but it's not the greatest defense card if that's what you need. Which is an interesting card. I'm gonna put it in B tier. At one point it was probably S or A tier after they decided to go like full commando with it over the last couple months. I don't know why they ever changed it. It was kind of like in its own niche where it doesn't do very much damage, but it does splash damage and it shoots pretty fast. I like that. I like the Witch card exactly where it's at. I don't think they should touch this card for as long as Clash Royale exists. It's good where it's at right now, I think. It's really annoying behind a giant or stuff like that because it spawns the skeletons that annoy the Inferno Tower. It's really good raged up. Valkyrie kind of crushes it though. There's some counters like Wizard, Valkyrie, even Musketeer kind of crushes it though. So it's one of those things where if you don't have a counter to it, it'll crush your deck. If you do have the counter, it's almost like useless. Yeah, but there's Witch. Here's Bowler. Bowler is a weird card, man. It's got a rock that it rolls and knocks stuff back. But for some reason, I don't understand why Log knocks back Prince, but the Bowler Rock, which is way heavier than a Log, probably doesn't knock back Prince. It's gonna go in C tier. I really only see it in like Graveyard Freeze decks. Other than that, I don't see it too often. What happens if I put another card over here? Okay, yeah, it just makes it bigger. That's fine. Yeah, Bowler, it's good if they have stuff charging that's not a Prince or a Dark Prince for some reason. Man, it might have to be D. I'm gonna have to. Well, yeah, it's D tier because I don't see it very often. It's not as good on defense as it should be. It's pretty good against Hog Rider. I don't know. You guys let me know. C or D tier with that. Ram Rider. This guy is A tier. I could see an argument for him being S tier. It is such a good card at a lower trophy level because people don't know how to react fast. My girlfriend, I got her hooked on Clash Royale a few months ago, and like her biggest problem is that she can't react fast enough. Somebody puts down a Hog Rider and like she doesn't have like muscle memory yet. I see a hog, I know I gotta put down a mini P.E.K.K.A. or an Inferno Tower like that. With her, she's like, okay, what cards do I have in my hand? Let's do this. And it hits the tower twice kind of sometimes before she makes a decision. And that's kind of how new players are. They don't know what to do right away. So you put down the Ram Rider and boom, by the time they make their decision, it hits the tower. And it does a lot of damage on that charge. But what makes this card almost OP is like his little thing that he throws. I don't even, is that like a boomerang or something? It's gotta be a boomerang, right? That thing, like if they play minions, it's probably gonna take minions out. If you play one Elixir Skeletons, they're gone. Spear Gobs are gone. You have to have something pretty strong, like a Skarmy or a mini P.E.K.K.A. or an Inferno Tower to take it out. Tombstone is also like decent at taking it out. But yeah, it's just, it hits the tower. It's like a Hog Rider that also like does damage to enemies. All right, Magic Archer. This is a guy I see used in pro gameplay all the time. He's gonna have to, okay, there we go. He's gonna have to go to A tier. No, what are you doing, Magic Archer? He's gonna go to A tier. if you are really good at using him, you can place him so that he's shooting and hitting the tower as well as your opponent's troops. You kind of have to know how to play him. He's really fragile, so if you play him in the wrong spot, it's almost like a gamble if you don't know how to play him. Play him in the wrong spot, he could get taken out really fast by even like a Dark Gob or a Wizard, or like minions played perfectly can kind of even take out Magic Archer. So he can be fireballed and stuff like that. That's why he's not S tier. But if he's really annoying behind a lot of stuff if you don't take him out right away, because he does each shot doesn't do a lot of damage, but over time it will keep chipping the tower down, and sometimes you can get cheap tower damage that way. So he's pretty good. All right, Tornado is A tier. I was contemplating S tier, but sometimes it's like not useful, I guess. It's really useful in a deck with Executioner. Use it to gather a bunch of troops together. I think I mentioned this earlier. Gather a bunch of troops together. Executioner hits them all. Same thing with the Wizard. Put them all together. Wizard hits them all. It's really, you got a balloon that's about to hit your tower. Use Tornado to pull it back away. Pull it to the middle to get both towers to shoot it, and so that it doesn't hit your tower, obviously. You can pull a Hog Rider into your King Tower and activate it. You can pull Gob Barrel Goblins into your King Tower and activate it. It's really just, it's so versatile. It can do a lot of things. It can take out Skeleton Army if you need it to. I think it's a great card. Just sometimes, like, if they don't have a card that's like useful at using the Tornado for, I'm trying to think of one. Like, I don't know, like a Graveyard Tornado wouldn't do much against Graveyard because it would just spawn skeletons and the timing would be off, stuff like that. If they have something like that, like, it's just not gonna be as good. But overall, it's pretty good. God, I think I'm spending way too much time on these freaking cards. It's gonna be like an hour-long video. All right, let's go with Rage. Rage on its own, man, I'm gonna have to go C tier. It's solid at a really low trophy level because, like I said, it makes everything attack faster, and people don't know how to react fast down there. They just can't do it. So Rage is kind of OP at a low level. The problem at the higher level is that it's 2 elixir on a card that doesn't really help you defend. It's not another troop, and you're kind of relying on it to get your main. It's almost like Freeze a little bit, where it's like all or nothing. If you rage your troops and they don't help, it's not very useful on defense. If you're gonna like rage your tower and a musketeer or something, it's C tier. Skeleton Barrel, I'm gonna put it B tier. It's really annoying, especially if they have clone, because then one pops and the timing is off with the second one. Like, one pops, it drops skeletons, you have to like log them or zap them, then the next one drops. So combined with other cards, and I think like Giant Skeleton, Sparky, and this, when put together, it's like really hard to deal with all 3 at the same time. But if you know how, if they don't have clone, like, you're probably going to be able to deal with it pretty easily. Just log the skeletons as they fall. The problem is when there's like a bunch of things you have to deal with at the same time. All right, Night Witch. This is one of my most hated cards in the game. It's S tier. It's got to be S tier. I don't know if the pros use it very often, but on the ladder, oh my god, it is so annoying to deal with. Night Witch behind an Elixir Golem makes me want to commit Not Alive. Night Witch behind a regular Golem makes me want to commit even more Not Alive, because it spawns bats that get in the way of your Inferno Tower and stuff, that distract your other troops from shooting what they should be shooting. Then when it dies, it spawns 4 more bats. So if you used arrows or something to take out the previous bats, then you don't have arrows or zap or, you know, trade whatever spell you want for those bats. Basically, the card itself, like, she doesn't do like a whole lot of damage. Like, she like rarely gets to the tower or takes out troops. But the bats are the problem, because she spawns bats at these weird intervals. They're hard to deal with. And when they're behind these huge golems or elixir golems, It is so annoying to deal with. One wrong play, and it's over. The bats are taking out your tower. They're tanked for. Over. All right, moving on. We have Mortar. This is weird. Like I'm just now thinking about it. I'm gonna put Mortar at C tier. What has happened to the Mortar decks? Is it just me? Does anybody else face a lot of Mortar decks anymore? I feel like about a year ago, I would face as many Mortar decks on the ladder as I would Expo, if not more Mortar decks. There used to be like a Mortar Rascals Archers or like Mortar Knight Archers deck that was so annoying to deal with. I could not beat that deck to save my life. And for some reason over the last like, I don't know, 6 months or so, I don't think I've seen that deck. Maybe once or twice. That's why I'm putting it C tier. It might have been A tier earlier, but I just don't see it anymore. I don't know what has happened to that card. It can be okay in the hands of a skilled player, but we'll put it at C. That's an interesting card to watch and see if it gets better. Goblin Gang. This card, I'm putting at B tier. I see it in so many damn decks. I don't understand the love affection that people have for this card. It's in bait decks. I've seen it in P.E.K.K.A decks and stuff like that. I mean, it's good at distracting my mini P.E.K.K.A and stuff like that. It's good if I've used log already or zap or arrows or something and I don't have a counter readily available. But that's the thing though, is I feel like it's countered by a lot. I can use log, arrows, snowball. I can use zap. I can use an ice wizard, an executioner, a bowler, a mega knight, a musketeer. Sometimes, hell, I even use these 1 elixir skeletons sometimes to counter it. This card is useful in a pinch though on defense. I will say that. It's a little bit like Skeleton Army. It's useful in a pinch. That's why it gets B tier. All right, Goblin Barrel. This thing has to be S tier. Just like the Miner, I would argue that Goblin Barrel is like as important to the bait decks as the Miner. The Miner gets that shower tip damage, but so does the Goblin Barrel, and smart players will use it like if they know the opponent has wasted their log or arrows, or what is it, Barbarian Barrel. Smart players will know, or sometimes they'll throw it like farther than your tower, like in the back corner, so to try and get people to throw their log or arrows in the wrong spot. But it's just so good at getting tower damage. Smart players are so deadly with that card. Bandit. This is an interesting card. I'm gonna put it at C tier. Should I put? Nah, we'll give it B tier. I see it in a lot of decks. Ram Rider decks, decks with Dark Prince use it a lot for some reason. Big P.E.K.K.A decks. I've seen it in some Hog Rider decks even. It's hard to deal with because of its dashing powers, because the exact line where you can do damage to it anymore and when it's like invulnerable is like hard to tell. Like sometimes you think the tower will be able to take it down before it dashes, and you're like, okay, I don't need to defend that, and then it dashes and gets like a good amount of chip damage on the tower, and that's really annoying. It's also really annoying if you think like, let's say you have a wizard that's shooting it, it gets one shot in and it's like almost dead, and then you're like, okay, the wizard's gonna get it with one more shot, but then it starts its dash before the fireball is on its way to the damn bandit, but the bandit dashes like right through it and kills your wizard, and then it like dashes to the tower before you like think to even throw another card down. So it's really annoying to deal with. Oh my god, Barb Hut. I forgot this card was in the game. I'm gonna go D tier. It's not quite S tier because it's really annoying to play against. I almost never see it, thank God. I used to see it a little bit more often, but it has so much damn health. You really have to like have something get to it and do a lot of damage to it. The problem is it's an investment at 7, and here's the thing, is it spawns barbarians, and I also have barbarians in D tier. If it was out here spawning miners and like hog riders or something, it would be higher, but it's out here spawning these crappy barbarians. So not only are they easy to deal with, it's a huge investment at 7 elixir, and if it doesn't get like its full health, or if it's countered, if they have like an executioner or wizard in their deck, they're going to counter it super easy, and you're done for. It's not S tier though, because it's hard to get through. It's not an easy card to get through and then get onto the tower. It's also really annoying in spawner decks, like if they have this and a goblin hut. Bomber. Bomber is C tier. He's okay. He can get fireballed though. He can get arrowed. I don't know if arrows quite take him out, but he can get arrowed. He can get log zapped, stuff like that. If you don't have anything to take out, it's kind of hard to predict sometimes, like when he's gonna, like how quickly he'll throw his bomb. Like sometimes maybe you think he won't make it to the tower, and then he does happen to get like one bomb shot off, and it does a ton of damage actually. It's kind of sneaky how much damage he does. The problem is he's just like pretty easy to deal with. The timing of like the bomb hitting stuff is a little tricky, but once you kind of get that down, he's not too hard to take out. If you guys made it this far, thanks for watching part 1. The next part should be coming out in 1 to 3 days-ish, depending on what I feel like posting. But stay tuned for that. You're not going to want to miss the rest of the tier list.